Everybody, Christine Barconi live in the NBC4i streaming center, and we're following some breaking news after the Franklin County Board of Elections has released the information on how many incorrect ballots, absentee ballots, were sent out. Nearly 50,000. Adrian Robbins, our State House reporter, has been on this since the very beginning, since this breaking news when it happened Tuesday night, Wednesday night. I'm trying to recall here. Adrian, what's this new development about?
Right, well, we first heard about this Tuesday afternoon, and that's when the Franklin County Board of Elections first began to hear calls that people believed that they had gotten the wrong ballot. We soon found out that that was true, them confirming, but they weren't sure just how many. Days later now, we do know the number, and like you said, more than 49,000 people actually have received the wrong ballot. The Franklin County Board of Elections said they're already in the process of reprinting new ones and mailing them out, trying to get those out as soon as possible. But as we know, on Monday, we had more than 200,000 go out, and now we're finding out around 20% of them were actually wrong.
That is, they said it was going to be a significant number, and by the amount of phone calls and emails and different things we were getting, we understood that it was significant, but I honestly was not anticipating it being that high of a number. 50,000, nearly 50,000, that's a ton, and there's going to be, repercussions, and that we've talked about this, and the Secretary of State has talked about this over and over again, that with this volume of absentee ballots, time is of the essence, and that is something that is trickling down by the day, but a huge error to begin with, but it's something that I guess luckily, bright side of things, it was caught day one.
It was caught right away, which is good, but like you said, there are several different waves that we could start to see here of what could happen now from this point on. So obviously, within 72 hours, they've already told us, once they had that finalized voter list, they would be sending out those replacement ballots, so everyone will get their correct absentee ballot. The issue is, for those people, the past few days at the Franklin County Board of Elections, we've seen so many people come and drop off their ballot. If you didn't realize that you had the wrong ballot in the first place and you've dropped it off, what's going to happen is you are still going to get a new one. You can still turn that new one in. You can also go and early vote, obviously. None of this is provisional. Your vote then will be counted right away, and that old vote will actually be voided. Where things get a little more complicated is for those people who maybe don't return in another vote. Maybe they turned in the original ballot that they were given that we now know was incorrect, and they don't vote again. So those votes are going to be held aside. They're going to be counted after the canvass, after that 10-day window that people have to return their absentee ballot. And at that point, we'll start to count those ballots, but we just don't know how many of those ballots will be. Will this hold up results? We don't know how close the election will be. So we're going to have to wait and see kind of how this starts to pan out. And hopefully the Franklin County Board of Elections will actually be able to give us numbers on how many correct ballots they end up getting in.
Certainly. A question for you, just so if people have not received their ballot yet, but this is kind of disenfranchised them, made them upset, and now they want to go into the to vote early in person, or perhaps even the day of the election. Can they do that, or will that be a provisional ballot as well?
If you've requested an absentee ballot, you can always change your mind and go vote early. That's always an option to you, and it's absolutely an option now if you did get the incorrect ballot, and maybe, like you said, maybe you just don't feel comfortable with the process anymore. That's okay. You can go vote early. If you do want to vote on the day of the election, that will be a provisional ballot.
Got it. So two separate things. So just to be clear, to say it again, if you requested an absentee ballot, but you don't want to do that anymore because of this error or any other reason, you can go into the Franklin County Board of Elections at any time during their open early voting hours and vote in person. However, if you wait until November 3rd, November 3rd, there will be a provisional ballot.
That's right. So you still can vote.
Absolutely.
And your vote still will be counted, but it will be a provisional ballot. And if you just don't want to do anything at all, again, they are reprinting, repackaging, and mailing out those ballots. They're supposed to be going out within 72 hours, so I'm sure it's going to be a very busy weekend at the Franklin County Board of Elections. That new ballot will be coming to you, and within that, according to the Secretary of State, they should be putting in a cover letter that will explain to you exactly what happened, what this new ballot is, and what you need to do with it.
So for those of you who are asking right now, to make sure that you received your correct ballot, so check in the upper right hand corner if you received an absentee ballot. That is where it will have your precinct. go to the Franklin County Board of Elections website, and we have a link to where you can do that exactly in this story. If you are watching online, just scroll down and click the link there, or if you're watching on Facebook, click the link above. You check your absentee ballot and make sure, you enter your address, and then you make sure your precincts match up. It's a very simple 3-step process, but it's very important that you do that.
Absolutely, because again, we're talking about 20% of ballots. I don't think anybody saw or thought it would be this amount, but that's 1 in every 5 basically of people out there who maybe have an absentee ballot in Franklin County maybe have the wrong one. So it's important to go back and check.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of break down from the beginning, let's go over what happened Tuesday night. So now we know 50,000 ballots were mailed to people, the wrong precinct ballots.
Right. So on Tuesday night, we were already at the Franklin County Board of Elections because of early voting. Obviously, a lot of excitement around that and a lot of people there already. And we started to hear that there were reports that some ballots were maybe sent to the wrong person. At that point, the Franklin County Board of Elections did confirm to us that they were getting phone calls from people maybe in Whitehall who had received a Westerville ballot, or people in Worthington who had received a Whitehall ballot. And I think at that point they realized that something did happen, but again, they did not know how widespread this issue was. They then went back to the machine. They found that a scanner that should have caught this error was actually not operational at the time. They're still investigating exactly how that scanner was turned off or what happened there, and we may not know until after the election when they do ultimately look back and figure out everything. What we do know now is that machine is fixed. They did catch the error, but again, now we know that it wasn't caught soon enough, because 50,000 ballots is quite a lot, especially in an election where we're talking about it could be very close.
Yeah, of course. So just so everybody knows, to explain this a little bit more, this has nothing to do with party affiliation, especially when it comes at the national level, your presidential races. Everybody in Ohio's ballot has the same exact presidential candidates on it. What would be messed up are the local races, because it's like precinct by precinct. So you're statewide, or if you live in Columbus, well, let's throw that out. But your national races will be the same on every single ballot. So this has nothing to do with anybody's party affiliation. And I just want to be really clear about that.
Right. Well, and the Franklin County Board of Elections also made it very clear that they are a bipartisan organization. That's how county board of elections work. There isn't a group of Republicans who get to go in and do anything without their other side of the Democrats being there as well. This wasn't a partisan issue, and they made it very clear yesterday they don't want it to be made a partisan issue. This was an error. This was a failure on their part, but this has nothing to do
voter
with
fraud.
Exactly. It has nothing to do with party politics. And like you said, everyone is still going to have that presidential election. And earlier when we talked about if you turned in the wrong ballot and it gets counted, yes, the precincts those votes can't be counted, but your presidential vote still will be.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So make sure, you know what? I'm going to go through this. I know Adrienne probably has a very busy day ahead of her. Let me get this set up. Put the camera back on me. Adrienne, thank you so much for being with us and explaining exactly what has been going on since Tuesday. And now that we definitely know a number,